So welcome. Today when I record this, it's Sunday 26th of June 2022. And this is an auspicious day for me. Today's exactly 7 years ago that I was the start of my Enlightenment experience. Some of you may know this. In 2015 I had this Enlightenment experience which came in two waves. The first wave was complete emptiness, complete experience of emptiness, which was initially very uncomfortable. It was so strange. It didn't feel good at all. In fact, it felt like nothing, like a total nothingness. And then 2 weeks later, I had seemingly the complete opposite, which is total bliss. So 2 waves. It led me to me writing a book called Emptiness and Bliss. And I'm not claiming to be enlightened. I was in that state, and what was special about that is that I could see the energy around me exactly like you see on these Buddha pictures, with these spheres, and everything that you see on these images was happening around me. It was amazing. So anyway, that led me to writing that book. And you know, when you've been in that state, then yeah, you want it back. Let's be real. Once you've had a taste of the chocolate, like they say, like Lama Yeshe says, once you taste the chocolate, then yeah, you know, you want more. So that started a process for me to research actually what is enlightenment. And yeah, I wasn't searching for that. That sort of happened. And the reason I'm talking about this is, well, twofold. First of all, I like to have these talks about things that happen during the week so I can make it sort of real. So one of my friends posted a question on Facebook. What is enlightenment? And is there anybody who's actually permanently in that state? Well, I'm not going to do that discussion, but yeah, I'll touch upon it. And then interesting enough, in the last few days, I've had another big energy process. Again, I'm not going to claim I'm enlightened, I'm not. But 7 year cycle, 7 years after, and there's this massive energy process happening inside of me, where it seems that a lot of things that I've learned in the last few years, I've been really working a lot with Tibetan practice, Tibetan Tantra, and everything sort of seems to fall into place, and yeah, amazing. I don't feel it's the time to really share what exactly happens energetically inside of me. That might come across as, you know, ego. But it's very nice. It's very purifying. So purification is what I would say. And even more opening. And it's interesting because there was a group meditation last week, and one of the things I was bringing in was a theme I've been working with for myself. Where am I keeping myself still small? Because ultimately, I'm just blocking myself. Nobody else, it's just me doing it all. So that question I brought into the group as well, like, okay, where are the blocks? It can be a physical block in the body, it can be mental, emotional. Where are the blocks that are preventing me to really be in my power? So that's what we worked with, and that's what I've been working with in the last few weeks. So I think something is unblocking, which is good. And so a few things I want to talk about. Hopefully this will all start to make sense. It may seem a bit that I'm jumping and a bit incoherent, but you'll see the threads weaving, hopefully. That it all sort of makes sense. It all is connected. So power, love and power, they seem to be so different. And especially in the spiritual community, which is all about love. You know, we need to be more loving. It's all about the heart chakra, more love, unconditional love. And it can be that in certain spiritual circles, power is looked upon as like a bad thing. You know, we don't need power, we need love. So this is the theme I work with, that comes back in my work quite a lot. Actually, they're the same. They're different coins. Because if you truly love yourself, you will also step into your power. Then you dare to be powerful. There's this quote from Marianne Williamson that comes to mind where, how does it go? You know maybe which one I mean. That the greatest fear is just to be completely in our power. Something along those lines. She puts it really beautifully, but that's what it boils down to. The greatest fear is just when we really step into our power. And really, because then, you know, we need to take full responsibility. And it's so easy to, well, it's not so easy actually to stay in the box, but this is our conditioning. Our whole conditioning is, we form this adaptive self where we learn to how to function in this world. That if we just take on this persona, they're all strategies to getting love. And for one person, they go into the victim. For the other person, they become the bully. The other person, they want to be the hero, the rescuer, just doing everything to please everybody else. So that if I do that, then I will get love and attention. If I'm the victim, then I get love and attention. So what if we drop all these mechanisms and we just become our own source of power and energy? Right? Then we don't need to go into any of these, call it games or masks or role plays that we do. You can just be you. So if you totally love yourself, if you're so full of love that you don't need for that look for that love on the outside, which is what I've been doing for a very long time, when that comes from the inside, when you fill yourself up with this love, from you, the love of your soul for you, is the only relationship that will always be there. The love from your soul for you is the only relationship that will always be there. Everything else is temporary. Your parents, they will die. Your lover one day will leave. Either it's the end of the relationship, or they will die, or you will die. You know, this whole term, my other half, is a really bad choice of words, because they're not your other half. You are you, and they are them. And it's a very unhealthy relationship when you work from, that's my other half, you complete me. This beautiful romantic notion. No, you don't. Nobody's going to complete you. You are complete already. You just don't realize it. The wounding is masking it. So when you completely love yourself, then it is okay to step into your power and to be really who you truly are. To not be in your power is not loving yourself. To keep yourself small is not loving yourself. If you love yourself, you step into your power and you dare to shine. And it's the most beautiful thing. When you shine, when you are really sharing your gift, your energy with the world, that is so beautiful. And you can see it when somebody is shining, and whether that's a musician or a baker that bakes the most beautiful bread, just somebody you meet on the street and they're just shining. It's so beautiful. The only time when it's not beautiful is when you feel rubbish and you can't deal with somebody else's happiness. You want them to suffer as well. Because then if they are suffering, you feel, well, then at least I'm not alone with it. But if you feel half decent, and you see somebody shine, it lifts you up. It's the most beautiful thing. So, when you love yourself, you will step into your power and really be you. And wow, what a beautiful world that will be. And let me be clear, not an ego power, not like status and position and clothes and look at me with my flashy car and my big expensive yacht. I have to laugh. recently bought a sailboat. It's funny. Not that kind of power. So real, authentic power. So what I call soul power. Can you feel it? I hope this comes across. Once you tap into that, then there is so much energy. It's unlimited amount of energy around us at all times. And it's about learning how to tap into that. When you can do this, it's effortless. You're not giving your energy like we often do. Then we become just a vessel, and more flows through me. It fills me up as well. And then life becomes so beautiful. So that sort of leads me to the second thing I wanted to bring in. About what is enlightenment. And a very simple way how the Buddhists call this is the end of suffering. That's a very simple definition. The end of suffering. There's different levels of enlightenment. I'm not going to go into that whole right here. But let's keep it simple. The end of suffering. So the teachings of the Buddha, they talk a lot about suffering. And why is that? How can you end something if you don't understand how it works, how it arises? And I didn't get that at all in the beginning when I started studying years ago, when I came across Buddhist text that could be so heavy, like all this talk about suffering, please give me a break. Chapter after chapter, page after page about all the forms of suffering. And now I sort of get it, why they do that. You need to understand it. But if you really look closely at the mechanism of suffering, if I put that in my own words, the suffering is the gap between how things are and how you want them to be. And we always create in our mind, we want certain things to be a certain way. But then, when reality is different, that creates the suffering. You want things to be different. You want that person to fall in love with you. And the more falling in love with a person is kind of, it can be a very sweet suffering, beautiful suffering in the beginning, when there's that longing and that attraction and wow, and you start dreaming about this person, what would it be like, and that sort of, it can lift you up for a bit. But then if they don't love you back, they don't want a relationship with you, bam, then you crash back down. And it can be super painful. You'll know what I'm talking about. So the pain is only the difference between you want it to be a certain way, reality is different. That's the pain. So obviously I'm talking about emotional pain here. Mental, emotional pain. Which can later then manifest as a physical pain, but that's another story. So that suffering is the gap between what is and how you want it to be. The moment when you can come to acceptance of reality, you bring it back down. Now you stop wanting something that is not there. So when you accept that it's not there, then the pain stops. Very simple, but very, very profound. So my invitation is to look at that, what I call meditate on that. Not in a meditation where you blank your mind, but really sit with it and really look at it in your life. Is what I'm saying, is what Stef is saying here, is that correct? Does it work that way? And you'll probably find that it's that simple. So I put it to somebody this week who asked me a question, and the answer how I wrote it there was, suffering is just your mind resisting to what is. Suffering is just resisting of your mind, the resistance of your mind to what is. This is why acceptance is so important. So this is where the whole teaching from Eckhart Tolle, the power of now, when you're really in the now, when you are totally in the present moment, into what is now, then that suffering stops. And this is what happens when you do like extreme sports, or when you're totally in the flow of the music, then your mind for a moment stops thinking about everything, is just there in the total present moment. It has no time to think about something else. And it feels so good. Then there is that release of all that tension of the mind. That's why people pursue extreme sports, because they need to be so focused on their activity, what they're doing, otherwise they're literally going to die, that their mind stops thinking about other things, and there's that release. And that can happen in dance, it can happen in meditation, it can happen in various ways. So what if you can train yourself, because you can, to catch yourself whenever you are doing this. The more you can take yourself into that space, the whole idea of mindfulness, Zen, to just be how things are. And then we're coming back to something I spoke about last week, where when you trust that your life is happening exactly perfectly, when you trust that your soul, God, Buddha, Christ, whoever, the angels, that they are helping you, protecting you, when you know that life is taking you exactly where you need to be right now. Once you can get into that state, then there's a kind of relaxation happening where you don't have to control and hold on to everything and try to control life. And you can, even if it doesn't mean, being enlightened doesn't mean that everything works out in your life. It doesn't mean there are never any problems. It just means no more suffering. So you accept what is happening and you just deal with the situation without creating a big drama. And yes, you're going to tune in and go like, okay, what can I learn from this? Why is this happening? You're not going to keep making the same mistake over and over. That's not learning, that is just being foolish. And then, life becomes so much easier. Not the need to control everything, because that is exhausting. Wow. And now you're trying to create life from your mind, law of attraction. I'm gonna have my dreams and I want it like this. Or do you allow the bigger inspiration to come in? And let your soul take you on a journey which can be beyond your wildest dreams. You could never make it up. So, a little example of that of my own life. In Holland I had a lot of friends, they were dreaming about living abroad, working abroad, and I was like, makes no difference, I'm happy in Holland, I don't need to go somewhere else. They are all in Holland, and I'm ending up in England, living here, working here. It's hilarious. It's never something I would have planned. or come up with. That would have never been on my vision board. Life just took me here. So, and when we tend to keep ourselves small. At least, in Holland, in England, it's not so. It's not in the culture to dream big and all that. It's like, let's. In Holland we have this saying, doe maar gewoon, dan doe je al gek genoeg. Just act normally, then you're crazy enough. Which I like that one, but at the same time it keeps you small. Don't dream big, come on, let's be normal. We need more people to be big. I want everybody to be a bigger version of themselves. Again, not the ego bigness, but the soul bigness. Bring in your soul. And if you don't have to control life, which is all mind, which is all fear, just trust the process. Do your thing. You're not going to just sit there and wait for it to happen. You take your actions, but let's see what happens. So you do your practice, you let go of all your limiting thoughts, where are the blocks in the body, where are the energy blocks, you do all that work. Opening up, letting more of that soul energy come in. Just let more of that soul energy come in. I like to work with the soul energy because it's your soul, your frequency, your energy you are taking in. Because you were designed to operate on this frequency, your pure soul frequency, as I call it. So take that in and fill yourself up with more of you. Let go of anything that doesn't serve you. It's so simple. Let go of anything that doesn't serve you. It's very simple, all this stuff. Are you doing things out of habit because you spent a lot of time doing this? In my book there's a quote somewhere. How does it go? Don't continue with a mistake because you spent a lot of time making it. So are you continue with habits that you know are not good for you? Are you continue eating food that you know that's not good for your body? Why? Ask yourself that question. It's so simple, you can tune in. Whenever you want to eat something, whenever you have an urge to eat something, just tune in and take a moment and ask your body, is this good for you? Does your body want you to eat that food, yes or no? What if we start living this way? When you stop doing things that you know are not good for you. That's self-love. That's raising your frequency. We'll start to feel better. And yes, it's a change. And yes, there will be resistance. The mind will resist. Your ego will resist. Ego resists any change. Up until the point when it realizes, when your mind, you realize that what you're doing is actually working and is really helping you, then the resistance goes. Maybe that's a different definition of enlightenment. You know, when I said suffering is your mind resisting, that's what is. So what if the resistance goes? That is also end of suffering. No more resistance. So I hope that something in this short talk resonates, gives you food for thought, and just throw away what doesn't resonate. Just take the thing that resonates, where you have that goosebump moment where you go like, wow, yes, that really resonates for me. Just work with that. So if you like this, I'm going to do the YouTube thing here, then please subscribe and like the video. It helps with the algorithms. And I will see you next week. And if you want to work with me one-on-one, then that's possible. Just contact me. The healing sessions are amazing at the moment. So it would be a pleasure. Okay, lots of love. Bye.